very good morning to you. Thank you so much for keeping it K24. We do appreciate your company every weekday morning. And this is what we do from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. My name is Shiko Kaitani.
And my name is Mungalambu. Welcome to the show. It's an absolutely amazing morning being a Thursday. We're just getting to the end of the week. Wengine wetu tunangoja homa ishe. But thank you very much for joining us. My name is Mungalambu. Welcome to K24 This Morning.
Why do you say wengine wetu? You're the only one with the cold here.
Dude, you're the one who gave each and every one of us homa.
No, if I did that, she should have a cold as well. So
No,
wherever you
I
got your cold
mine.
from, wherever you got your cold from,
But
please just
Pato has a cold on that camera. Travo has a cold on this camera. I mean, even our director has a cold. Because
You know what? This is what they call hate speech. We need to curtail such language. My name is Jeff Mote. A warm welcome to the show. As always, we'll start off things as usual right here. Jump into the newspaper review and look at the big stories of the day here indeed. We'll be joined by Gabriel Muthuma, Bonny Khalwale, former Senator Kakamega. And also, we're going to be having Embakasi North MP James Gakuya to look at the big stories of the day. Some good news for the teachers as far as pay is concerned. A CBA that negotiations started on Tuesday might give them some pay increment, of course, and better working conditions as far as that's concerned. We discussed that. And Kenya's debt situation that has everybody wondering, okay, fine, how do we get out of this and actually move this economy forward?
By borrowing more money from other countries.
To pay another, to plug another hole.
We borrow Russia to pay China. Then now tubaki na deni ya Russia, alafu tuombe states tulipe Russia.
You do not move forward in that particular manner, and that's why we're talking about that right here on the show, as well as we jump into our newspaper review.
Okay, and of course, right after that, we will be taking a look at some of the trending stories of the day. Interactive will be coming through. And of course, we want you to talk to us through our social media platforms at K24 TV on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Just in case you feel that this is a story we've definitely left out, let us know.
All right, and then immediately after that, we get into a social hour. And today being Thursday, we talk about relationships. Have you been courting? Do you know how to court? Or are you the kind of person who's just thinking, minta toka tu hapa kani mengia marriage direct? Well, that discussion is coming up at exactly 8 o'clock with Jennifer Karina, who's a psychologist and an author. So we shall get in depth and you tell us how exactly you got into your marriage or how you're planning to get into one.
Okay, fantastic stuff. The show is already locked and loaded. What we need to do is get you up and ready. So let us know how your morning is so far. You can get us at K24 TV or SMS us as always on 21222. What we do now before we jump into the dailies is look at the roads, because that can be a real sticky point between now and where you want to go in your first appointment this morning. So take a look at your traffic and then right after that, get into your newspaper review. Good morning.
As always, we like to take a look at how our major routes are looking every morning, just to give you a heads up on which ones to use, which ones to avoid. But we cannot do this alone. We always need you to be our eyes and our ears on the roads to tell us how the situation is looking like where you are. So go ahead and talk to us this morning. Go ahead and even send us a tweet pic if you can. Would really appreciate it. But speaking about those major routes, this is our satellite feed right here for you, and our focal point being the museum overpass. And so let's make things, or rather make our way to Wayaki Way and see what things are looking like for those of you who are coming from Kino, coming from Loresho, coming from the Kangemi area, or even Mountain View, even as far as Limuru. What are things looking like for you as far as Wayaki Way is concerned? And so let me back things up a little bit. When you see a green line, it actually indicates that the roads are absolutely clear, and that means it's good news for you at this particular time. Of course, this being a couple of minutes past 6 a.m., we do not expect too much activity on our roads, but like Jeff always says, you never know. And so let's take a look at how things are from right around KUPPET. As you can see, it is green. Just a few spots, as you can see, with that orange line indicating that traffic, yes, is present, but of course it is moving. So nothing major to report. Look at this red line indicating that traffic is bumper to bumper at this short distance here between ABC and Kari. That only means that, by the way, you've got traffic trying to make the turn onto the highway, actually going down towards Westlands. And that's because, of course, of this brand new road here, the Westlands Red Hill Link Road, that actually leads to Peponi, Westlands, and of course to Nyari. And so you would expect a little bit of a snarl up right around here. This area is notorious, and you may have to exercise a little bit of patience as traffic comes up James Gishuru, traffic coming down Wayaki Way, others trying to make their way through this brand new road, and of course the rest trying to make their way down to Westlands. And so as you've seen, it is green all the way, and that is good news. Let's take a look at James Gishuru, which is a major link road between those from Lavington and of course the greater Gong Road area trying to make their way to Westi or to Wayaki Way. Here is James Gishuru for you. You can see it on your map. It's a little windy road that makes its way to, of course, Valley Arcade area. There is Muthangari Police Station. Let's back things up past Strathmore School. I hope you can actually visualize it with me. And here we are at the St. Austin's roundabout, making our way to Lavington Mall. This being a major route to actually monitor every morning, and that's because there are quite a number of institutions along the road. Of course, you know there's Lavington Mall as well. So you can expect a little bit of traffic as you make your way through James Gishuru, because you've got parents dropping their children to school, others actually running their errands, and of course with the emergence of you know, so many other establishments along James Gishuru, offices also opening up, you can expect this to be a very busy road every single day. And here we are at the Amboseli Road junction. Here is Kingara Road, the famous dip that actually cuts to Junction Mall. So far so good, we cannot complain. Here is the Junction Mall roundabout, and of course if you are coming from Karen, coming from Dagoretti Corner, the capital city aka DC, trying to make your way to the CBD, let's take a look at Gong Road. And so here we are, it is green all the way, and this is fantastic news. Something I definitely need to highlight though is after you pass Marsabit Plaza and you make your way to Adams Arcade, from that stretch all the way past slightly Greenhouse, you can expect a diversion there. And so you need to be careful as you're coming down Gong Road. And that's because, as you know, Gong Road is still currently under construction. Of course, there has been developments in terms of the dual carriage being opened up. It's an amazing drive, but so far they're still making provisions for road works. And so you can expect a few diversions. You can expect some excavation points along the way, so you really do need to be careful. But like I said, when you actually pass Adams Arcade and make your way past Greenhouse, what they have done with the upper carriage that actually leads towards Coptic is that they've actually made it a single lane. So what you will notice is the presence of red cones and the red and white tape from Adams Arcade making your way past Greenhouse. You can expect that, and then it opens back to a double lane, and from there it gets, of course, to Prestige, and things are looking good. This particular spot, always a little bit of a snarl up around Prestige Plaza, but that would be expected because it's a crossroad. So you can expect the traffic lights, or at least police controlling traffic here. So you may have to exercise a little bit of patience, but nothing major to report. Here we are at Coptic, a hospital past China Center and Kenyatta National Hospital roundabout. It actually looks a-okay for you, and so far so good. Remember, it is a rainy morning, so of course the roads are wet. You may actually be in the comfort of your car, but let me just say this. Let's remember those who are on Futsubishi, right? Those who are definitely on Subaru. Please think about them, be careful, of course, and be mindful, be kind this morning, this being a rainy morning. And of course, continue to talk to us through our social media platforms at K24 TV on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We'll be happy to, of course, give everybody else a heads up on some of the information that you send through our Traffic Watch. That being said, Jeff Morte is ready to take us through the newspaper review.
Good morning, and like you heard right there, exercise caution on the roads. They are very slippery this morning, but also a bit of care for those who might not be having a vehicle as they use the footpaths on the side. But let us know how the roads are looking either way at K24 TV. You can also SMS us on 21222 right after the traffic update. As always, we look at the big stories of the day right here. My panel fully in place. So what we'll do is look at the headlines of each of the dailies, and then from there get to my panel, introduce them, and get to the big stories as well, and dig a bit deeper therein. We'll start off as always. Front page of the People Daily, Teachers Union eyes 70% pay hike in new CBA. Secondary school tutors poised to win big as KUPPET opens talks with TSC over increase of salaries, allowances for its members for the next 4 years. The details found therein. Also, in your PD and covered on the front page of the PD, MPs under siege as vote on expensive loans looms. That's a big story, of course, right there. It can be found in your copy of the People Daily this morning. Move on to the Standard. The front page of the Standard, 86 pastors, politicians caught up in ritual killings. Business people, teachers and civil servants also probed as police name regions where cultism is most prevalent. This is a story that can be found on page 5 of your Standard this morning. Also in the Standard, ODM will dump NASA after Kibropol, says ODM Secretary General Sifuna. Now, the SG derisively refers to coalition partners ANC, Ford Kenya and Wiper as, quote, parasites and leeches which we have carried on our back, unquote, while praising new camaraderie with Jubilee. Interesting times you see right there after the handshake. Front page of the Daily Nation, debt driving Kenya to the tipping point. For failing to live within its means, the country could find it difficult to service debt when it matures within a year and bring itself into disrepute in the international money markets. This is a story that they're keenly following. Half of the loans mature in the next 12 months. What direction will be taken is what is being debated right there and can be found in your copy of the Daily Nation this morning. Front page of the Star, Kibaki rushed to City Hospital over knee pain. Kenya's third president returned from London treatment last week. Doctors say complications as a result of the 2002 accident are what led him to go for treatment in London, but he's back and recuperating well. You can get those details as well in your copy of the Star this morning. Finally, look at the front page of the Business Daily. Bank shares gained 38 billion shillings in a day on rate cap push. Equity Bank, KCB, among top gainers on news that MPs could repeal the rate cap law on Tuesday. This is the story that the Business Daily is leading with this morning, and you get all the details right there. Lots in our intro to discuss this morning, so let me get to my panel and jump right into the thick of things right here. Of course, I'm joined by political analyst Gabriel Muthuma. Good morning.
Good morning, Jeff.
Welcome once again.
Asante sana, how are you doing?
Good. Former Kakamega Senator Dr. Bonny Khalwale, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Welcome once again to the show.
Thank you.
And for the first time to K24 This Morning's newspaper review, we have Honorable James Okuya, Embakasi North MP. Good morning.
Morning too.
Morning. Okay, let's look at the front page of the PD and start off from there. Teachers Union eyes 70% pay hike in new CBA deal. Negotiations started on Tuesday evening, moving on forward. And what I'm looking at is the fact that this is never where the story usually comes from. The negotiations usually go well until the implementation comes. That's where industrial action starts. So as they go through this procedure and they see this good news coming, we've seen the increments ranging between 10 to around 45,000 in terms of what they'll get in terms of the salary. Promotions also been looked into as to how teachers can be promoted. How do you make sure that this is implemented and it doesn't become another issue where down the road we are up in arms and we are withdrawing our services because the CBA wasn't honored? Let me start with you, Dr. Khalwale.
That's the way it should be. You can see the photographs of the right people there. The boss of the Teacher Service Commission is there, and the head of the teachers. That's the way it should be. We would like matters to be settled through the boardroom and not to fall back to the public whereby you find our children are not in schools. Right. We would like to encourage them for it to continue this way, because in the best international practices, this is how these matters are settled.
Right,
yeah.
right. Gabriel, I'll bring you in on this as well. How do you make sure that all of this is done in good faith and implemented in good faith? Because if it's CBAs, we don't lack in the collective bargaining agreements that we sign. When it comes to the execution is where usually we have the sticky point.
First of all, let me thank my good friend for appearing back, my good friend Daktari Bonny Khalwale.
Asante sana.
After the msiba you went through, we stood with you, pole sana.
Thank you.
And we tunahope mmepoa.
Thank you.
Having said that, I also agree with Daktari. This issue should actually be settled on boardrooms. In fact, that's how it should be. But still, 70% is very ambitious. That one I can tell you off the deck. 70%, given where our economy is at this point, I think it's very ambitious. But as long as KUPPET and Nancy Macharia-led commission, as long as they continue talking, I think we are okay. Right. Does not mean that they cannot get a pay hike. In fact, I would continue urging that our teachers to be paid well. Right? They actually do a lot of work. I just read the other day, there's a country, I don't know which country it was, I don't know whether it's India, where they said anytime a teacher passes, the police must actually salute. Wow. Teachers in society, yeah, because what they were saying is the teachers are the people who actually standardize the moral fabric, which is a very good thing. So we need our teachers respected. We need them living comfortably. We need them being paid well. But still, at the end of the day, you cannot just say 70% and you expect, that money will be made available, or it's already there. Right. So as much as we want our teachers paid well, I think 70% to me appears as a very ambitious process. But let them keep talking. Right. I think that's the best thing at this point.
Okay, of course, we'll get the details of the CBA once it's finalized and the negotiations are done. But I'll bring in Honorable Gakuyo on this, because when it comes to our teachers, no doubt, we've seen it proven the world over. We have some of the best teachers. From Brother Tabichi, the African Union also gave another teacher an award in terms of the work he's doing in terms of teaching chemistry and mathematics. So in terms of our teachers, we have good teachers. When it comes to this particular process, do you feel that this might be the charm that we need now to move forward from negotiation boardrooms to implementing this and moving forward and not having to go to the streets to picket?
Let me say, one thing is that, in fact, whenever there is a tag between the tutors and their bosses, actually the sufferers, those sufferers are the students. And when there is this kind of teachers strike, actually the biggest, the biggest casualty are the students, because they are losing their time. And the arrangement here, mine, I would say that, in fact, I would support my panels that, in fact, it's the best route to go. But in fact, as Mudema have said it, right, the 70% hike is a bit
it's a bit ambitious.
It's a bit ambitious. And probably this one, I guess that, in fact, the arrangement will not be a one-stop payment. Actually, if it's going to be at least made in what we call a fractured manner, right, that in fact can be settled in a manner that, in fact, it is not one batch. Right. That one can, because right, at least what drives this is the economy. Right. And if the economy does not allow, in fact, even having these figures, no matter how beautiful they are, they cannot match. Right. So, in fact, I think the direction is a good direction. Only that, in fact, if it is given a time frame. Right. Because if it's a one batch, it's a big hit.
Okay, let's go back to you, Dr. Khalwale.
Yeah, there is something which is quietly coming on this panel, that 70% would be too ambitious because of our economy, blah, 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 it's not doing well. I think we've got to be a bit cautious about this thing of the economy not doing well.
Why is that?
From the time President Uhuru and his deputy took over the reins of the country, the economy has been growing. In fact, out of the latest projections, we are going to grow at 5.6%. By the way, the three of us are old enough to know this. A growth of 5.6% in the economy, it's very significant.
Yes, that's true.
We should be now pushing the executive to ensure that this growth in the economy trickles down to the Kenyans.
But I think
One
that's
way,
also the central bank governor had raised that particular issue when he was saying that the problem is Kenyans can't eat GDP.
Exactly.
Yes, it might grow by that 5.6 or 5.7,
Yes.
but it's not getting down.
Yes,
And
so I
therein
was
we have
going
the
there.
problem.
So one way of making sure that this growth in the economy trickles down to Kenyans is by having these salary increments. The moment, thanks to the 5.6% growth in the economy, it enables the teacher to bargain better for his salary. He starts feeling the growth in the economy. We should not give the executive an opportunity to keep on taking the money to infrastructure development and not minding the software of food and all those kind of things. So I want to agree with them that yes, it sounds ambitious, but our economy is not doing badly.
We'll be talking about that
Our
also.
economy is doing well, only that we are not allowing the ordinary people to benefit from the growth of that economy.
We'll be talking about that as well because I believe on the Daily Nation we're talking about our debt levels right now.
Yes,
Apparently we had also defaulted on one of the debts that we had. So we'll talk about the economy versus the debt that you have right now. But let's move on to page 2 of the People Daily right there. And it still matters economy in one way or another. MPs under siege as vote on return of rate cap looms right there. Of course, the president repealing that particular interest rate cap as of now. Kiambu Town MP Jude Njomo, who sponsored this, saying he was asked to travel to the USA for a trip he had applied for some time back, but turned the offer down. He's not the only one. Homa Bay Town counterpart Peter Kaluma said he had been asked to travel to Geneva, Switzerland to familiarize himself with operations of the Swiss parliament. He outright rejected this particular intention as he saw it was a compromise for him to present his views on Tuesday when the House votes on this particular memorandum. As we know, if they are to overturn this, they'll need 2/3 of parliament to do this. Honorable Kakuya, have you been asked to travel? Let's start from there on this particular one.
Let me say no. I have not been asked to travel. And I would say that whoever is trying to use that game is somebody who is just trying to use what we call underdogs kind of methods. One thing is that, in fact, I would say that, in fact, the capping of the interest, actually, it's not only good to the SMEs, in fact, even to the members of parliament. Nobody depends in his own pocket throughout. I also depend on some areas in business where I move to borrow. And therefore, when the capping are under control, it is to the good of the people and therefore to the good of Kenyans.
So you're for the interest rate cap remaining?
I am for the capping. I am for the capping to make that, because actually we are in this particular embargo when the interest has no control and when every other Kenyan was pushed and at least was pushed to the wall. Because actually, once you give these people room to control the market, actually, the one who suffers most is the borrower.
But let me ask also Honorable Kakuya, because the counter-argument to that was that, okay, fine, after they capped it, yes, it would have been affordable, but it wasn't being given to individuals like myself and yourselves, but now going to government.
What should be done? The government is the failure, and they are the one who's failing on their foot. Because one, they have ways and means of borrowing externally, and they are not following that particular route. Then when they come back to borrow from internally, locally, is when they injure this country.
Right.
So because the parliament has given them a room to borrow outside, they should depend on that particular borrowing, where even borrowing outside is cheaper to them, because loans from outside are cheaper. But when they come back here to borrow both externally and internally, then when they mess up everything. Even though we made sure that, in fact, the caps are off, you just find the same government borrowing locally.
Right.
Still, the pressure will be there.
Right.
But
Right.
if the government will stick to borrow outside, I think the soft net of the CMC will be there.
Okay, Gabriel, let me bring in on this.
Yeah,
Rate cap, yea or nay?
No, I think whoever is listening to us this morning, if they've heard what Honorable Kakuya has said, in fact, that's where the disconnect is.
It's not about the cap, it's about who's borrowing the money.
Who's borrowing? In fact, that's where the disconnect is. Because at the end of the day, as a central bank, you must put all measures to ensure that Mwananchi is protected. That's the first thing. Secondly, you must ensure money for SMEs and me and you, people who want to borrow at least to buy something, to build a house, things like that. That money is available. But the disconnect is, yes, the government can borrow, externally, but going by what statistics have shown in the CBK, we have an external debt of about 3-point-something trillion shillings.
Right.
But the government has borrowed locally to a tune of 2.8 trillion. So where does the SMEs get the money? I think from what Honorable has said, that is the true picture. The borrowing locally, has got, because if the interest cap is, the way it is right now, and it's quite controlled, banks will always go for the safer entity. And the safer entity this time round is government, all right? So they are saying there's an area where they are provided to have latitude to ensure that if they give you the money at a very low interest rate and you refuse to pay, then to them it is a huge, it actually goes on as a very negative deficit. So if banks have been arguing they need to be allowed to play around with this interest rate the way it was before, and in there they are dicing in something to do with how, secure the person taking the loan and what have you. The issue will continue being, even if this interest rate goes back to the normalization, you will still need to find a conduit on how to ensure banks don't go back to the methodologies that they used before. When you're given a loan, and Dr. will tell you, when you're given a loan at an interest of 20-something%, repaying that loan becomes very hard. Not only the principal, just the interest rate, it becomes out. So you'll find so many people will be missing out. Had we utilized this situation where the interest rates are capped, and banks were available to give money, albeit the fact that they have a way of, that element of risk still comes in as a big factor and consideration, it would have been better, because many SMEs will be able to get good loans at a very negotiable and very good rates. But now, even as the interest rate is capped, the banks are still not lending money to me and you.
So
reason being, government is still borrowing locally. So I think, like Kakakuya has explained, that is the disconnect.
Dr. Khalwale, the bankers had also come out as this was being mooted, repealing of the rate cap, and they said, okay, fine, we saw the error of our ways before, we shall do better this time around. If you repeal this rate cap, we'll self-regulate better. Should we give them a chance this time around to try and, regulate themselves, or keep the cap in place?
I think, let me make a bit of a rider. One, if I was in Parliament, I would have voted for removal of the cap. Much more.
I'm hearing you.
Maybe because I'm a layman in this kind of matters. Yes, I'm a layman, but I happen to have a desire to respond to the reality on the ground. What is the reality on the ground now? One, we have created economic apartheid. Apartheid to the extent that now, in the economic environment, we have created the so-called risky borrowers and the non-risky borrowers. So that Mama Mboga, Juakali, all of them have been lumped together into risky borrowers. Where have they gone, Mheshimiwa? They have gone into mobile money lending.
Lenders, yes.
Where have they gone, Mheshimiwa? They have gone to Shylocks. So the fact that these people have gone there, the fact that the mobile money lending is actually booming, the people on the ground are telling you that we don't mind unregulated loans. That's where they are going, and they are sending that message. Number three, a reflection on Mwai Kibaki. When Mwai Kibaki was in office, loans were actually being hawked. There was hawking of loans around banks, Gabriel.
Yes.
You remember this?
Yes, that's true.
Because that environment had been completely liberalized. If we don't do this, and I happen to have, let me call them boys or men, we enjoy soccer with when we are waiting to watch Manchester United to play, we discuss these things at a very serious level. And they have told me that where they work in the bank, the people now getting money are the top guys because they're not risky. But you, when you go there, they'll give you the go round, 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, whatnot. What business is going to wait for 6 months when you wanted quick capital to inject in for you to break even? Let us liberalize this thing. I know it is going to be very difficult, Mheshimiwa, for you to be listed as the person who removed the cap. It is populist, but the beneficiaries, the small people, are the ones you'll be helping. And nobody talks to them.
What you'll do at this particular point, you'll take a short break. We'll be back after the break to wrap up this particular issue. I'll let Honorable Kakuya respond on that as well after the break. But you also want to hear your say on this as well. You can tweet us at K24 TV, SMS us on 21222. We are back after the break with plenty more. This is your newspaper review.